When I opened my front door at 11:30 on that freezing January night, the last thing I expected to find was a car seat with my 3-month-old granddaughter strapped inside, a diaper bag thrown beside her, and my daughter's car already pulling away from the curb. I stood there in my slippers and robe, the cold wind cutting through me, watching those red taillights disappear around the corner while tiny Maya began to scream. I didn't think. I grabbed the car seat and bag, rushed inside, and immediately started checking the baby. She was freezing, her little hands like ice, her face red from crying. Her diaper was soaking wet, clearly unchanged for hours. The formula bottle in the bag was empty. There was no note, no text message, nothing. Just my granddaughter, abandoned on my doorstep like a package nobody wanted. My hands shook as I changed her diaper, warmed a bottle, and held her against my chest, until she finally stopped crying and fell into an exhausted sleep. I sat in my rocking chair in the dark living room, this tiny person breathing softly against me, and felt a rage building inside me that I had never experienced before. Not when my daughter Rachel had gotten pregnant at 19. Not when she had dropped out of college. Not even when she had married Marcus, a man I had never trusted. But this, abandoning her own baby in the cold without a word, this crossed a line I didn't know existed. I tried calling Rachel 17 times that night. Every call went straight to voicemail. I texted her. Nothing. I called Marcus. His phone was off too. At 2 a.m, I finally called my son James, who lived across town. He answered groggily, immediately worried something had happened to me. When I told him what Rachel had done, there was a long silence. Then he said something that chilled me. "Mom, I'm not surprised. Rachel's been different lately. Really different. I tried to talk to you about it last month. But you said you didn't want to hear us criticizing her parenting." He was right. I had shut him down. I had been so desperate to believe my daughter was handling new motherhood. Well, that I had ignored warning signs. I should have seen. The times she had seemed distant when I visited. The way she would hand Maya to me the second I arrived and disappear for hours. How she had stopped posting pictures of the baby on social media after the first month. I had explained it all away as postpartum adjustment, as the normal exhaustion of new motherhood. James said he would come over first thing in the morning, and we would figure out what to do. I hung up and looked down at Maya, sleeping peacefully now, her tiny fingers curled around the edge of my nightgown. She had no idea that her mother had just walked away from her, that at 3 months old, she had already been deemed too much trouble. The next morning arrived too quickly. I had maybe slept an hour, dozing in the chair with Maya on my chest. Afraid to put her down, afraid she would wake up and realize she was in a strange place without her mother. James arrived at 7 with his wife, Patricia, both of them looking worried and angry. Patricia went immediately to Maya, checking her over with the practiced eye of a pediatric nurse. "She's dehydrated," Patricia said, her voice tight. "Look at her lips. When did she last eat properly?" I told her about the empty bottle, about finding her in wet clothes in the freezing cold. Patricia's face darkened. "This isn't new mother exhaustion. This is neglect. Your daughter left this baby to die if you hadn't been home." The words hit me like a physical blow. I had been thinking abandonment, but Patricia was right. It was January, below freezing. If I had been out, if I had been asleep and not heard anything, if I had gone to bed early and not checked the door until morning, Maya could have died of hypothermia on my front porch. James was on his phone, still trying to reach Rachel. Finally, around 8:30, she answered. I could hear her voice through his phone, casual and light, as if nothing unusual had happened. James didn't yell. His voice was cold and controlled, which was somehow worse. "Rachel, what the hell were you thinking? You left your baby on Mom's porch in the middle of the night. You didn't even knock on the door." I heard her laugh. Actually laugh. "Oh my God, James, stop being so dramatic. I needed a break. Mom loves babies." I knew she would be fine with watching Maya for a few days. A few days? James's knuckles were white around his phone. You dumped your infant daughter in freezing weather without asking, without any warning, without enough supplies. Where are you right now? There was a pause, and then Rachel said something that made my blood run cold. Marcus and I are in Miami. We needed some couple time. The stress of the baby was ruining our relationship. My therapist said we needed to reconnect. Miami. They had gotten on a plane and flown to Miami, leaving their 3-month-old baby on a doorstep in the middle of winter. James asked her when they were planning to come back. Rachel's answer was vague. I don't know, maybe a week? 2 weeks? We just need to figure some things out. Mom can handle it. She's always saying how much she loves being a grandmother. James told her to get on the next flight home, or he was calling Child Protective Services. Rachel's tone changed instantly from casual to venomous. You wouldn't dare. That's my daughter. You have no right. You lost your rights when you abandoned her, James shot back. Get home now, or I'm making that call. Rachel hung up. James immediately tried calling back, but she had blocked his number. He looked at me with an expression I had never seen on my son's face before, a mixture of rage and heartbreak and something that looked like grief. Mom, I think we need to call CPS anyway. This isn't normal. This isn't postpartum depression or exhaustion. Something is seriously wrong with Rachel. I held Maya closer, breathing in that sweet baby smell. Part of me wanted to defend my daughter, to find some explanation that would make this okay. But I couldn't. There was no explanation that made abandoning your infant acceptable. Give her 24 hours, I heard myself say. If she's not on a plane home by tomorrow morning, we call. Patricia shook her head. Margaret, I love you, but that's a mistake. This baby needs to be seen by a doctor today. We need to document her condition. If Rachel did this once, she'll do it again. Deep down, I knew Patricia was right. But the thought of calling the authorities on my own daughter, of setting in motion a process that could end with Maya in foster care, paralyzed me. Let me try to talk to her first. Please, just give me until tonight. James and Patricia agreed reluctantly. Patricia made a list of everything Maya would need. Formula, diapers, baby clothes. Since Rachel had left almost nothing. James went to the store while Patricia gave Maya a thorough examination. She found a small bruise on the baby's arm that looked like finger marks. Margaret, she said quietly, I need to ask you something. Do you think Rachel has been hurting this baby? The question hung in the air like poison. I wanted to scream no, that my daughter would never harm her own child. But then I thought about how Maya had been when I found her. Not just cold and hungry, but eerily quiet once I brought her inside. Most 3-month-olds would have screamed for hours in that situation. Maya had calmed down the moment I held her, as if she had given up expecting anyone to respond to her cries. I don't know, I whispered. God help me, I don't know. Patricia decided to take Maya to her pediatrician, using the excuse of a wellness check. I went with them, carrying this tiny person who had become my responsibility overnight. The doctor, a kind woman named Dr. Chen, examined Maya thoroughly. Her face remained professionally neutral, but I saw the concern in her eyes. After the examination, Dr. Chen asked to speak with me privately. Patricia stayed with Maya in the exam room, while I followed the doctor to her office. She closed the door and sat across from me, her hands folded on her desk. Mrs. Torres, I need to be direct with you. This baby shows signs of significant neglect. She's underweight for her age. She has what we call failure to thrive indicators. The bruising on her arm is consistent with rough handling. And her responses, the way she doesn't make eye contact, the way she doesn't vocalize much, these are red flags. I felt like I was drowning. What are you saying? Dr. Chen's voice was gentle but firm. I'm saying this baby has not been properly cared for, possibly since birth. I'm legally required to report this to Child Protective Services. I'm sorry, but I don't have a choice. The world tilted. I gripped the arms of my chair, trying to breathe. My daughter, she's just overwhelmed. New mothers get overwhelmed. It doesn't mean— Mrs. Torres, Dr. Chen interrupted. Your daughter left this baby outside in January without making sure anyone knew she was there. That's not overwhelmed. That's dangerous neglect. If CPS doesn't get involved and something happens to this child, I couldn't live with myself. She made the call while I sat there, numb. Within 2 hours, a CPS caseworker named Linda Morrison arrived at my house. She was a tired-looking woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She asked me to tell her everything, and I did. Every detail of the previous night, the abandoned car seat, the freezing baby, the empty bottle, the wet diaper, Rachel and Marcus in Miami. Linda took notes, asked questions, examined the diaper bag Rachel had left. There were exactly 3 diapers and 1 empty bottle. Nothing else. No change of clothes, no pacifier, no blanket. Mrs. Torres, Linda said, I need to ask you something difficult. Have you noticed any other signs that your granddaughter wasn't being cared for properly? I thought back over the past 3 months. Rachel had been strange about visitors, always having excuses why I couldn't come over. When I did manage to visit, Maya was usually asleep, or Rachel would hand her to me immediately and leave the room. I had held my granddaughter maybe a dozen times total before last night. Rachel always said she was protective, that she didn't want too many people around the baby because of germs. I thought she was being a cautious first-time mother, I said, my voice breaking. I thought she was doing what she felt was best. Linda's expression was compassionate. Or she was hiding how she was really treating the baby. Mrs. Torres, I'm going to be honest with you. Based on what I've seen and heard, I'm going to recommend emergency placement of Maya with you while we investigate. Your daughter and son-in-law will need to return immediately for an interview. If they refuse, we'll escalate this to law enforcement. She explained the process. There would be home visits, interviews, court hearings. Rachel and Marcus would have to prove they could safely parent. Until then, Maya would stay with me. I would become her temporary guardian, responsible for her care and required to follow CPS guidelines. After Linda left, I sat in my living room holding Maya, feeling the full weight of what was happening crash over me. My daughter had done this. My bright, creative, loving daughter had abandoned her baby and fled to Miami. And now the state was involved, and nothing would ever be the same. James came back with supplies, arms full of Target bags. He set up a portable crib in my guest room, organized diapers and wipes in the bathroom, arranged bottles in the kitchen. Patricia showed me how to properly prepare formula, how to burp Maya, all the things I had forgotten in the 30 years since my own children were babies. That night, I tried calling Rachel again. This time, she answered on the first ring. Mom, I heard CPS came to your house. You actually let them take my information? What the hell? The accusation in her voice stunned me. Rachel, you abandoned your baby on my porch in the middle of winter. What did you expect? I didn't abandon her. I left her with you. There's a difference. I felt something snap inside me. Without asking, without knocking, without making sure I was even home. Rachel, Maya could have died out there. Don't you understand that? Oh my God, you're so dramatic, Rachel said, her voice dripping with irritation. It was like 15 minutes. We watched from down the street until you opened the door. 15 minutes in below-freezing weather is long enough for hypothermia. I was shouting now, something I rarely did. And you watched? You watched me find your baby and didn't think to come back and actually hand her to me like a normal person? Because I knew you'd lecture me, just like you're doing now. Rachel's voice was rising too. I needed a break, Mom. Do you have any idea how hard it is? She cries all the time. She never sleeps. Marcus and I haven't had a moment to ourselves since she was born. We're suffocating." I took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "Rachel, I understand new parenthood is hard, but running away to Miami isn't the answer. You need to come home. CPS wants to talk to you." "I'm not coming home to be interrogated like a criminal," Rachel said coldly. "Maya is fine. She's with you. You love babies. Just take care of her for a while and stop making this into a huge drama." "How long is a while?" I asked. "When are you planning to come back?" There was a long pause. Then Rachel said something that made my heart stop. "I don't know if I am coming back, Mom. I don't think I'm cut out to be a mother. I thought I would be, but I'm not. Maya deserves better." The line went dead. She had hung up. I tried calling back, but she had blocked my number too. I sat there with the phone in my hand, staring at my granddaughter asleep in her portable crib, and realized my daughter might be serious. She might actually walk away from her child permanently. The next few days were a blur of feedings, diaper changes, and phone calls with CPS and lawyers. Linda came back with a detective who asked more questions. Had I seen Marcus or Rachel hit the baby? Had I heard them yell at her? Had there been any indication of drug or alcohol abuse? I answered honestly. I hadn't seen anything directly because Rachel had kept me away. But now that distance made sense. She had been hiding how bad things were. The detective told me they were trying to locate Rachel and Marcus, but the couple wasn't answering their phones for anyone. They had checked out of their Miami hotel, and their credit cards showed purchases in different cities. They were running. "Mrs. Torres," the detective said, "I need to prepare you for the possibility that your daughter might not come back voluntarily. If she doesn't, we'll have to pursue this as child abandonment, potentially with criminal charges." Criminal charges. My daughter could go to jail. Part of me thought she deserved it for what she had done to Maya. But another part, the part that remembered rocking her to sleep as a baby, teaching her to read, watching her graduate high school, that part shattered at the thought. James was less conflicted. "She made her choice," he said when he came over that evening. "She chose herself over her daughter. Let her face the consequences." But consequences came for all of us. CPS scheduled a hearing to determine temporary custody. I had to appear before a judge and explain why I should be granted guardianship of Maya while her parents were investigated. The judge, a stern man named Judge Brennan, asked me difficult questions. "Mrs. Torres, your daughter was raised in your home. How do we know you won't repeat whatever parenting mistakes led to her abandoning her own child?" The question felt like a slap. "Your Honor, I don't know what I did or didn't do that resulted in Rachel's choices, but I know I would never harm this baby. She needs someone right now, and I'm here." The judge reviewed the CPS reports, Dr. Chen's medical findings, statements from Patricia and James. Finally, he granted temporary guardianship for 90 days, subject to monthly reviews. Maya would stay with me. Rachel and Marcus would have to petition the court to get her back, proving they were fit parents. I left that courthouse with official papers making me Maya's guardian and a weight on my shoulders that felt unbearable. At 62 years old, I was starting over with a baby. I had been looking forward to retirement, to traveling, to finally having time for myself. Instead, I was back to bottles and diapers and sleepless nights. But when I looked at Maya, those impossibly tiny fingers, that sweet face, I knew I would do it. I would give up my plans, my freedom, everything, because this innocent child deserved someone who would choose her. 2 weeks passed with no word from Rachel. Marcus's parents called me, horrified when they learned what had happened. They lived in Oregon and hadn't known about the abandonment. Marcus's mother, Linda, cried on the phone. "Margaret, I don't know what happened to my son. This isn't who we raised. Please, let us help. We'll send money for the baby, whatever you need." I appreciated their offer, but told them what I really needed was for their son to come home and face what he had done. Linda promised to keep trying to reach him. In the third week, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Rachel. She sounded different, her voice flat and emotionless. "Mom, I heard about the court thing. I want you to know I'm not fighting it. You can keep Maya. I'm signing away my rights." The words hit me like a physical blow. "Rachel, you don't mean that. You're overwhelmed, you need help, but giving up your child permanently—" "I'm not giving her up," Rachel interrupted. "I'm giving her to you, to someone who actually wants her. I tried, Mom. I really tried to be a good mother, but every time I look at her, I feel nothing but resentment. She ruined my life, my body, my relationship with Marcus, my future, everything." I couldn't speak. My daughter was calmly telling me she resented her own baby. Rachel continued, "Marcus and I are starting over somewhere new. We're not coming back. We'll send money when we can, but we're not coming back. Tell Maya, when she's older, that we didn't abandon her. We gave her to someone better." "Rachel, please," I started, but the line was already dead. I stood in my kitchen, phone in hand, tears streaming down my face. My daughter was gone. Really gone. She wasn't coming back for her baby. She wasn't fighting for custody. She was just walking away as if Maya were a mistake that could be erased by distance. James came over when I called him. He held me while I cried, while I told him what Rachel had said. "Let her go, Mom," he said quietly. "You can't force someone to be a parent, and Maya deserves better than parents who have to be forced." The legal process of terminating Rachel's parental rights took 4 months. She signed all the papers electronically from wherever she was hiding. Marcus did the same. CPS investigated thoroughly, documenting everything. In the end, the judge granted me full custody with the option to legally adopt Maya when she turned 1. The day the adoption was finalized was bittersweet. I held my granddaughter, now legally my daughter, and felt overwhelming love mixed with overwhelming sadness. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Maya should have had her parents, but they had made their choice, and I had made mine. Patricia and James were there at the courthouse, supportive and loving. They had become Maya's aunt and uncle in every way that mattered. James's teenage kids, my other grandchildren, adored their new aunt, even though she was technically their cousin. We were rebuilding our family around this tiny person who had been thrown away. In the months that followed, I learned more about what Rachel and Marcus had been doing before they left. Neighbors told me they had heard the baby crying for hours at a time, that they had almost called CPS themselves but didn't want to interfere. Rachel's coworkers said she had seemed increasingly erratic, calling out sick constantly, showing up disheveled. One friend finally admitted that Rachel had told her she regretted having the baby, that if she could go back, she would have gotten an abortion. She had said Marcus was pressuring her to get rid of the problem, that he wanted their old life back. I realized my daughter had been drowning, maybe since Maya was born, maybe before. And instead of asking for help, instead of being honest about her struggles, she had hidden it all until the breaking point. Then she had chosen the cruelest possible way out, abandoning her baby and running. Part of me understood how someone could get so overwhelmed they couldn't think straight. But another part, the part that held Maya during her 4 a.m. feedings, that changed endless diapers, that walked the floors when she was teething, that part couldn't forgive. Because even at my lowest points as a parent, even when James and Rachel were colicky babies screaming all night, even when I was a single mother working 2 jobs after their father left, I never once considered abandoning them. Maya is 9 months old now. She's thriving, hitting all her milestones, smiling and laughing. Patricia says she's completely caught up developmentally, that you would never know she had such a rough start. She reaches for me when she's scared, babbles "Mama," even though I'm technically her grandmother, falls asleep on my chest with complete trust. I haven't heard from Rachel in 7 months. She sends money occasionally, money orders with no return address. I put it all in a savings account for Maya. Someday, I'll have to tell her the truth about her biological parents, about how they left her on a cold doorstep and never looked back. But for now, she's a happy baby who knows she's loved. James and Patricia have been incredible. They take Maya 1 weekend a month so I can rest. They include her in everything with their own kids. They never make me feel like a burden, even though I know my life is so different from what they expected their retired mother's life to look like. The hardest part is the judgment from people who don't know the whole story. When I'm out with Maya and someone comments on how nice it is that I'm babysitting my granddaughter, I have to decide whether to explain the complicated truth or just smile and nod. When people ask where her mother is, I've learned to say, "It's just us," and change the subject. But there are beautiful moments too. Maya's first laugh, her first time rolling over, her first taste of solid food. I get to experience all these milestones with her. I'm the one she reaches for when she's tired, the one she looks for when she wakes up. In her world, I'm simply her mother, and maybe that's enough. Sometimes late at night, when Maya is asleep and the house is quiet, I let myself grieve for the daughter I lost. Not physically lost, but lost to whatever demons drove her to abandon her own child. I wonder if she thinks about Maya, if she regrets her choice, if she'll ever try to come back. Linda from CPS still does monthly check-ins. She always comments on how well Maya is doing, how clear it is that she's loved and cared for. During our last visit, she told me something that stuck with me. "Mrs. Torres, you saved this baby's life. Not just that night on your porch, but every day since. You gave her what her own parents couldn't or wouldn't. That's real love." I don't feel heroic. I feel exhausted most days, overwhelmed by the reality of raising a baby in my 60s. My retirement plans are gone. My freedom is gone. But when Maya wraps her tiny hand around my finger and gives me that gummy smile, none of that matters. Yesterday, Maya took her first assisted steps. She held onto my fingers and walked across the living room, giggling the whole time. I cried, overcome with joy and sadness in equal measure. Joy that I got to witness this moment. Sadness that Rachel will never know what she's missing. I've started writing letters to Maya, documenting everything. Someday when she's older and asks questions, she'll have the full truth. She'll know that her biological mother struggled, that she made a terrible choice, but also that she was loved from the moment she was born. She'll know she has a family who chose her, who fought for her, who never once considered leaving her behind. James asked me recently if I regretted taking custody, if the reality of raising another child was too much. I told him the truth. Every day is hard. Every day I feel too old for this, too tired. But every day I look at that little girl and know I'd do it all over again. Because she's worth it. Because someone had to choose her. The legal adoption is almost complete. In 2 months, Maya will officially be my daughter, not just my ward. She'll have my last name. I'll be listed as her mother on all documents. The biological parents who abandoned her will be nothing but a footnote in her history, assuming they don't come back and contest it. Part of me dreads that possibility. What if Rachel changes her mind? What if she decides she wants Maya back after I've spent a year raising her? But Linda assures me that because they voluntarily terminated their rights and there's documented neglect, it's extremely unlikely they could regain custody. Still, I worry. At night, I double-check that all the doors are locked, terrified I'll wake up to find Rachel trying to take Maya. It's irrational, I know. She made it clear she doesn't want to be a mother. But trauma has a way of making everything feel dangerous. Patricia has been pushing me to join a support group for kinship caregivers, grandparents raising grandchildren. I finally agreed to go to a meeting last week. Sitting in that circle, hearing other stories, I realized I wasn't alone. There were grandparents raising babies because of drug addiction, incarceration, death, mental illness. Some, like me, were dealing with voluntary abandonment. One woman, Gloria, raised her hand and said something that brought me to tears. People ask me all the time if I'm angry at my daughter for leaving her kids with me. And yeah, I'm furious. But more than that, I'm grateful I was there to catch them when they fell, because that's what family does. That's what family does. We catch each other when we fall. Rachel fell so hard she couldn't get back up, and in falling, she let go of her baby. I was there to catch Maya, to make sure she didn't hit the ground. And I'll keep catching her, keep holding her, keep loving her, for as long as she needs me. Today is Maya's first birthday. James and Patricia are coming over with their kids for a small party. I made a cake, hung decorations, bought too many presents. Maya doesn't understand birthdays yet, but I want her to have pictures to look back on, evidence that she was celebrated and loved from the very beginning of her new life. As I write this, she's napping in her crib, one hand curled beside her face, breathing softly. She looks peaceful, secure, nothing like the cold, neglected baby I found on my doorstep a year ago. She's gained weight. Her cheeks are round and healthy, her eyes bright with curiosity about the world. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if Rachel will ever come back, if she'll ever try to be part of Maya's life. I don't know if I'll have the strength to do this for 18 more years, to raise another child from infancy to adulthood. I don't know if my body can handle it, if my energy will last, if my savings will stretch far enough. But I know this. Right now, in this moment, Maya is safe. She's loved. She's exactly where she needs to be. And that's enough. That has to be enough. When she wakes up, I'll feed her, change her, play with her. We'll have her birthday party, and I'll watch her smash her cake with pure joy. James will take pictures, Patricia will help clean up, and we'll all pretend that this unconventional family is the most normal thing in the world. Because for Maya, it is normal. This is the only family she'll remember. I'm not her grandmother who stepped in during a crisis. I'm just her mom, the one who's always been there, the one who always will be. The doorbell rings. James and Patricia are here, arms full of presents and smiles. I hear Maya stirring in her crib, making those sweet waking up sounds. I go to get her, lifting her into my arms as she blinks sleepily at me. "Happy birthday, sweet girl," I whisper, kissing her forehead. "Let's go celebrate." She gives me that beautiful smile, the one that makes everything worth it, and we walk together toward the sound of family waiting for us. It's not the family any of us expected. It's not the story I would have written for my daughter or for myself. But it's our story now, and I'm going to make sure it has a better ending than it had a beginning. Because that's what love does. It rewrites the story. It takes the broken pieces and builds something new. It catches the ones who fall and holds them until they can stand on their own. Maya will stand on her own someday. She'll walk and run and eventually leave home to build her own life. And when she does, she'll carry with her the knowledge that even in her darkest moment, even when she was abandoned and alone, someone chose her. I chose her, and I'll choose her every single day for the rest of my life. That's not just being a grandmother. That's being a mother in the truest sense of the word. Not the woman who gave birth, but the one who stayed, the one who showed up, the one who loved without conditions, without reservations, without an exit strategy. The party is starting. There's laughter in my living room, the sound of family and love and second chances. Maya is giggling in my arms, reaching for her Uncle James. I hand her over and watch my son's face light up as he holds his niece, his sister-daughter, this child who became ours in the most painful way possible. And for the first time in a year, I feel something close to peace. This is my life now. This is our family. It's messy and complicated and nothing like I planned. But it's real, and it's filled with love. And sometimes, that's the only plan that matters.